Spirit and Soul, where Atlanta's service industry unpacks raw and provocative truths, share hilarious commentary about their unique industry experiences.
Welcome to Spirit and Soul Podcast, a space where we share anecdotes, lessons, recipes, and the personalities of those in the service industry here in Atlanta. We all love a great cocktail, but the industry is so much more than that. We have soul too, and that's why you love us so much. I'm Courtney, your host, and today my special guest is Davil Haralson, aka Deevo. Deevo is the founder and CEO of Food and Lifestyle TV, which is a streaming service. It's a Black-owned and operated network that showcases talented chefs, lifestyle creators, and culinary entertainment at its finest. Think Food Network channel, but more Black and brown creators as main characters. It's a really fun and fresh concept. I'm so ready to learn more. So without further ado, Deevo, welcome to the show.
Courtney, welcome to Food and Lifestyle TV. We are thrilled to have you up here at the house.
It feels such a pleasure to be here. I've been here a couple times, but this time feels special. Because we've had conversations, but we haven't had a one-on-one conversation like today. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, today's the day.
Yay! How are you feeling today?
I feel fantastic.
Good.
I feel fantastic. It's a good day.
I have so much respect and admiration for what you do here. I remember meeting you at the Chef Mark's book release party.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Back in the fall of 2022. And in our short conversation, you were talking about the launch of the streaming service that happened this past January. And right? Yep. So immediately I became a fan. But it was how you talked about Food and Lifestyle TV. There was just so much passion there. You evoked emotion. You engaged my imagination. And I knew right then that you had to be on the show. This is going to sound crazy, but you reminded me, this is crazy in a good way. You were not crazy in a bad way. You reminded me of like this magical ringmaster extraordinaire because you were the introduction to a show. Like Food and Lifestyle is a show. It's programming, it's shows, but you were that introduction for me. And the way you expressed yourself and expressed the brand of Food and Lifestyle, it was just so, I don't know, it was awesome. You did a great job. It was, you made me feel like I was in the room, and I wasn't in the room. But I would love if you could paint a picture of what it's like to experience Food and Lifestyle TV for the first time as a viewer for our audience today.
I would love to take you through that.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for those observations.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of your perception of my role as a ringmaster, I think it's fantastic. This network is not about me per se. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's got a lot of my direction and curation in it, but it's really a platform for all these amazing, magical creators. What you experience is something that should not be so shocking, but it absolutely is. Mainstream television doesn't feature or focus on the wide variety of Black and brown experience. Mm-hmm. There are limited roles and limited lanes. And for example, I went to an HBCU. So 99% of the population of an HBCU, in my case, was Black, mm-hmm. Virginia Union. Every one of those people has a unique personality. They're a mix of intelligence, laughter, quirks, hobbies that make them an individual. Mm-hmm. Many of them are endlessly entertaining in their own way. Mm-hmm. We, since we're the people that are the gatekeepers and the people that do the green lighting, get to find and select these crazy, interesting, fascinating, talented, intelligent people and give them a platform to be their true, authentic selves. So the experience as a viewer is that you get to turn on your television, whether it's on Roku or Fire Stick, and see high quality production, people who are excellent at what they do, but they speak in our language. Mm-hmm. They focus on issues and they approach things the way that we do. so that the language is familiar, the slang is familiar, the focus on the issues is familiar, but they're excellent at what they do, so you can have pride in what you're looking at. And then from there, it's just amazing food, amazing drinks, good music, all those types of things. And now you get to sit back and just enjoy.
Yeah.
And what was fascinating for us when we started this was you're trying to explain all that in a short elevator pitch.
Yes.
Because you can't really explain it in a pitch.
Yeah.
But young people so much wanted to see themselves in media that they got it right away. When we started our Instagram and we started our Twitter, we immediately connected to our audience and we started to attract talent that got it right away from the first few images. Like, yes, we've been waiting for this. Groups of chefs were like, we've been waiting for you. Let's go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The response has been, it seems like, even outside looking in, just very well to what you do here. So that's amazing. I think that you represent your brand so well, which I've already said, but again, you excite people when you're talking about this. You move people. You moved me in a very short conversation. You have a charismatic energy when you communicate. Something that you promote a lot on Food and Lifestyle TV is having the freedom to express yourself authentically in your authentic voice. You just said it.
Yes.
I've heard you say that multiple times. Why is that so important to you? And what do you think contributed to you discovering your authentic voice? Like, what was the influence there maybe, and who helped cultivate that? That was a lot of questions. I can break it down.
Okay, well it's a couple of things.
Okay.
In my own personal life, I have enjoyed talking to interesting people. And a lot of what happens as you go through life and you're having your social functions and you're throwing parties, people are like, Deevo, how do you find all these interesting people? It's like, because you engage people and you give them permission to just be themselves.
Yeah.
Most folks, when you talk to people, we all have our social mask we put on. And it's nice when you can realize, I don't have to wear the social mask. Like, no, I don't. I want to know you. I want to know the individual story, the individual people. And that's just fun. And so even before I was doing this, I always had an interesting group of people around. And I started to realize that whatever it is about me that attracts and retains interesting groups of people is not a commonplace skill or part of a personality.
You're right.
And that, how do you make something out of that? And well, if you're building a network, what you want are unique voices. So from a personal enjoyment standpoint, from a strategic business standpoint, that's what you want. And then from a brand building, we didn't want to just imitate the existing food television landscape and color in the faces. We wanted to build an experience that really reflected, the Latin experience, the Black experience. We wanted to really reflect how people really were. And so once you give them permission, creative people want to be creative. It's actually an effort for truly creative people to put on the social mask. It's easier for them to be themselves. So once you said, no. When we were talking earlier, be that person on camera. It's a couple seconds of, wait, for real? Are you sure? Like, yeah. That's why we invited you to be here on camera, because we got to know you. And then from there, they just go.
That's awesome.
That draws other people who see, wow, they get to be themselves. I've always wanted to be myself. So when people see people being themselves, it's a natural attraction to other creative people.
I like what you're saying there. And it reminds me of this reel I saw about Tracy. It's Tracy Ellis Ross talking about, I know, right? Because she's really her authentic self.
Absolutely.
And so I resonate with it so much. She says, people really like me because I'm being myself, but they see a version of themselves in me because I'm being myself. And so it gives them permission to be themselves. It's kind of like, oh, great, you're being yourself? Great. I don't have to put on, I can just do whatever, like, great. And so I completely agree with that. I really do try to live my life like that too. It's just easier. Like I can't. It's just too hard. It really is. It's really hard not being yourself. I honestly, that's one of my. That's what I've been. I don't want to say struggling, because struggling sounds like a large word. Like it's not struggling, but that's just something I've been back and forth with my personal brand. I'm like, yeah, I want to be professional and luxury, and it's like you can still be luxury and professional and still be yourself. And so I'm like, I didn't want to put my face out on my social media so much, because I'm just like, oh. But honestly, the more I do that, the more people are like, oh, we love it, more. And I'm like, oh, guys, it makes me, I don't know, there's this hesitation I have, because then it's like, you're building a brand, and that brand is you. And so sometimes it's like, well, sometimes I want to, not be in it so much. So I go back and forth with that a lot, honestly. But it makes it a lot easier when I'm myself. I'll say that.
It's one of our core values here. Mm-hmm. That older generation, older mainstream media, there's a way that you do things to be considered professional. Mm-hmm. When the chefs would come here, they would say, do I have to wear my chef coat? The recipe magic is not in the coat, it's in the chef. Mm-hmm. So if you'd rather have on a t-shirt and an apron, and you want to make the magic, take off the chef coat. Yeah. Because it's your personality, your skills, your training, all the things that you do to make the food what it is, the way that you explain it, the way you tell people the flavors, the way you mix things together. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you a chef, not putting on the coat. Yeah. So, and then for us, and I'll speak from the Black experience, it's the same thing. You have to code switch. You've got to speak a certain way and act a certain way. Otherwise, you're not considered professional. There's nothing to do with your education, your skill level, and whatever field you're in. And we're very happy here to welcome Black doctors, Black lawyers. We have a couple of Black female doctors who are part of what we do. We've had a couple of who've been guests here. We had a guest bariatric surgeon, a beautiful Black woman. And she comes here, and when she does the host of the show, she'll talk and she'll give tips and help people out. And then she's a sister girl the rest of the time. Dr. Canary is a psychiatrist, and a certified sex therapist. Okay. She's got a show here, Sex and Relationship with Dr. Canary.
So that...
And she's a cool person. So she's not just white coat.
I think, too, something that I'm understanding now is the lifestyle part of food and lifestyle. So I was going to get into that later, but when you mention these other people, like that's not food related, is it? That content's not food content. That's just that's lifestyle content.
Right. Lifestyle is our last name. And even within the food context. Okay. If you're going out to dinner, you want to know, where are we going? What kind of place is it? Who's going to be there? I need to know what I need to wear. Are we getting dressed up? Are we casual? What's the look going to be? Do I need to have my hair a certain kind of way? That's all part of the lifestyle. It's not just the food out of context. Okay. We grew up, and I grew up on Long Island. So one of the fascinating things is how close African American culture and Italian culture is. The flavors are different, the food is different. The energy is the same. Yeah. Grandma's cooking, the cousins are hanging out together, uncles are giving wisdom and advice. It's the same flavor, the same feeling. That's part of the lifestyle that goes around food. It's not just what's on the plate or in the pan, it's how you serve it, what you mean when you serve it. Literally, Italian grandmothers will follow you around to make sure that you eat. If you clean a plate, they're gonna give you more food. That's part of the culture.
Okay. I feel you.
So we want to explore all of that. So it's not just what's on the plate, it's the love that gets put into the plate. Have you watched somebody cook who really likes to cook? Oh, okay, for example, you made us the drink. You didn't just put rum and Coke together. Like what's in this drink?
I'm happy you asked. It's a
Zoom in.
Okay.
Zoom in.
It's a Planters punch. So essentially it's a rum punch with Bacardi Silver, Angostura bitters, a little lime juice, and a little of this peach puree. But it's delicious. We topped it with soda, and it goes down well. I feel like I don't drink things like this that often, or I don't come across things like this often. Although this is a very signature traditional cocktail, it really is. But I don't know. I don't drink it that often.
See all the emotion They went through the ingredient selection. The way that you paired certain things, the thought process. You didn't just slap it together. And that's a lot of how we approach the things that we do.
Soul crafted, guys. Soul crafted.
A little soul clap.
You mentioned that you were from Long Island. So, what were your aspirations in your youth? Like, and what inspired you?
I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, I was that kid.
Okay.
Student council president of my junior high school.
Okay.
Carried a briefcase around.
Okay.
Wrote a column for my student newspaper. And our school was 90% white.
Okay.
But I was who I was.
Okay.
Arrogant, full of confidence. Just saying it like it was.
That's
so yeah,
funny.
13, 14, I wanted to be a lawyer. I'm dressed up going to school.
Okay.
Slacks, hard sole shoes, briefcase.
I'm not mad. That's interesting. Okay. It is my understanding that before Food and Lifestyle TV, you were a corporate attorney.
Yes.
For some pretty large companies. So you've done quite the career shift. How does your experience as a corporate attorney influence what you do here at Food and Lifestyle TV?
A couple of ways.
Okay.
So first of all, that's kind of the overall deal with content creators, right? My business partner Jay and I take care of the structure. So we built a facility. We make sure things are financed. We make sure that all the things that they need to be creative are here and in place.
Okay.
Rules and regulations, we handle all that. Contracts for services, building the network, building out the platforms, we handle all that. They just have to come and be artistic and be creative. So being a corporate lawyer obviously helped me with all of those, the business, setting up, being able to learn new things, because a lot of this is brand new. I mean, we started, streaming was brand new. So imagine you got a call to New York to a company that builds streaming networks. And you've got to start from zero knowledge to know how do you do data transfer, how do you format the video so that it's going to run properly when they put in their different systems. So that it runs on an iPhone, an iPad, an LG TV, a Samsung TV. How do you learn how to do all that? So having to be mentally resourceful is an important part of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also, this was a massive undertaking. So my stock and trade was large $100 million deals. So if you're negotiating a $100 million contract, technology contracts, there's lots of pieces and parts to it. To get to the finish line, you have to make sure you handle all the different pieces and parts from all the different players, make sure everybody's opinions and needs are taken care of, so that it's complicated. And the bet was, this is going to be hard, but that also makes it harder for other people to do the same thing that you're going to do. And that to get to a finish line, it's going to take being able to move and pivot, which we do. And so that was the personal bet that I took when I made the leap.
I like the way you think. And you're like, what you're saying, you're so on cue for the questions. It's so easy. It's making these transitions so easy. I watched some interviews of your, speaking of this leap of faith, I watched some interviews of you, and you mentioned this pursuit being a leap of faith. And I quote, you said, "This idea is too good to keep in my brain. Someone else is going to take the idea and I'll just be the old guy at the bar whining about how I had the idea first instead of acting on it." And I resonated with that a lot, a lot, because it's pretty much the same thing for me. And I'm a Christian. Most of my followers know that. And so I reference the Bible with this verse about Peter walking out on the water and how that was crazy and is impossible. But there was this faith, and he just did it. He had this faith, and he just did it. And so I told myself personally, if I was going to pursue Spirit and Soul podcast, this book that I've been developing, this mobile bar, I would have to have some Peter walk on the water type faith, because this is so crazy. It's kind of delusional. It's kind of delusional. There's a part of your mind, you have to lose a part of your mind. Well, at least I did. I don't know, this might sound a little too crazy, but I had to lose a part of my mind to actually make that decision and commit to it. because it is crazy. Because you don't know, there's a lot you don't know, right? So when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, preached. But I'm curious to know, when you took that leap of faith, what did it look like for you? Like, you know, what were your emotions like, and what did that practically look like for you? And
it's frightening. I had a very successful career. So for people who may be tuning in to figure out what it was, I was a corporate attorney for Verizon. I represented transactions for healthcare and insurance companies. So that means if you had a international healthcare company and you were buying all of your desktop phone systems, all of your Ethernet, all the equipment and software to run your call center, all your wireless services, all of that in 40 or 50 countries around the globe, I negotiated those contracts.
Okay.
I had a team of people that reported to me, so I was a manager. And so I was good into the six figures, respected by the people I work with, had a great management team. Like, it really was a really nice setup. And you know, if you're African American in corporate America, you don't always check all those kind of boxes.
Yeah.
Comfortable life, travel when I wanted to, you know, if something broke, you buy a new one. But I felt like even at that level, I was undervalued for what I thought I could bring. And when I wanted to network, and when I saw the possibility of a cool vibe type food network that I knew would exist one day, whether I did it or someone else did it, it just felt like that needed to be.
Yeah.
And I thought it through and planned it out and was like, you know, I think I can do this. And after many years of helping close deals for other people, it was like, well, you've always had that man in the mirror talk of, oh, I'm smart enough to do this, I'm smart enough to do that. You have to kind of check yourself. Well, if you think you that dude,
Are you?
you talking all this smack, let's see if you can really put it to the test. And you got to call your friends, you got to call your family, you got to change your life, you have to downsize everything, you got to move out of your big apartment on Peachtree with the floor-to-ceiling windows and the 270-degree view, and downsize everything because you need the money to be able to put it into your business. The vacations go out the window. You don't have the brand new Nikes no more.
I could cry.
But that's what it takes if you really believe in it. You have to sacrifice all of that if that's what you believe in it. So the leap of faith to do that was enormous. And there were literally days I was driving back and forth on 400, blasting the music in my car, tears streaming out my eyes, like, I'm going to bet on me. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did.
I feel that so much in my soul. Like, you have no idea. Oh.
But look around. So many other people have done that.
Yeah.
The History Channel has a whole groups of series. The toys that made America, the food that made America, and the barons that made America. And they told all these people, all these products that have a name that's somebody's last name. And you see the stories, it's not all a bunch of rich people that were inherited a bunch of money. A lot of them are people who just had an idea and a whole bunch of doubters and haters. And they just pursued it. And it got hard. And almost every one of the stories has and it was almost over. Right now, everybody talks about Netflix and Blockbuster, and how I follow the guys from Netflix on social media. They're very retired and giving of information, and how they went to Blockbuster because they were almost over, and Blockbuster laughed them out the room, and they thought it was a wrap, and they managed to pull through, and you see how that turned out.
Yeah, you know what's I think is interesting too is, and I know this for sure about you and about myself. I can't speak for a lot of companies, but sometimes the sacrifice is so important to you, or you're willing to do it because you realize that it's bigger than you. Like, you're really out to change other people's lives. And that's when you're like, I actually care about making an impact more than I care about everything else because, yeah, why am I here? Like, why am I here? So thank you for sharing that.
Well, here's the resume.
Yeah.
So I came out of law school and I worked for a law firm that did real estate and banking and development. Cablevision Systems to do cable work. Moved to Atlanta from New York and was at Equifax for 12 years doing credit reporting law, and then 12 years at Verizon.
Okay.
A lot of big deals, a lot of big companies. Very little social impact. Here I get to go to work every day and make people's dreams come true. It's a whole different life.
That's awesome. I'm sure that feels that's so fulfilling.
That is.
Ugh.
We still want to make the money.
Yeah, right. Like, at the end of the day, though, yeah, I feel that.
Hello, sponsors. We still want to make the money.
At Spirit and Soul Mobile Bar Co., we are passionate about delivering a luxurious and unforgettable mobile bar experience. Our focus is on crafting soulful cocktails that not only taste exceptional, but also reflect the essence of each season. Our dedication goes beyond just serving spirits. We believe in the power of intentionality and strive to provide an impactful and elevated guest experience. We invite you to share your vision with us, whether it's an intimate gathering, a wedding, a corporate event, or any other special occasion. To book with us, please visit spiritandsoulatl.com.
Okay, so I'm interested to know how long Food and Lifestyle TV has been operating. Like, what did the earlier stages look like? And kind of what was the production before the studio here that we're in today?
Okay,
So answer that however you like.
So this is a journey. A lot of people don't really know the whole journey. So
Okay.
We actually had an apartment in Mezzo, which is a tall, high-rise, floor-to-ceiling condo. It was built to be a condo building, and it turned into apartments.
Okay.
And so the first few shows were in the sky in this beautiful apartment,
Okay.
and that's how we first started.
Okay.
A couple of shows wasn't quite. How do I say now? It wasn't giving.
Okay.
Like it sounded like it would. Mm-hmm. It wasn't giving.
Okay.
We needed a real studio. Then we did travel shows, and you'll see those in the network. I'm a big fan of travel.
Okay.
And again, mainstream. This is the age before social media was big, so you didn't see a lot of us traveling in mainstream shows.
Okay.
And
Us
I
as
wanted
in
black
black.
people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to show that side of it,
Okay.
youthful and interesting, and the beaches and the restaurants and the kind of fun that you could have. And so it was still corporate, and on my vacations, I would pack my equipment, and some of the days would be sit-down days, but other days, you're hustling. You're talking to restaurateurs, you're talking to the excursion people, and you're getting stuff lined up. You're trying to find people who could host for you local. Eventually, I would actually get to the point where I would find a host and fly somebody with us to go. And so then we did some international work, which you'll eventually see on the platform as well.
Okay.
And then there was that period of time where I just was sitting on this idea, like you mentioned, nervous that someone else was going to do it. And it was like, I need to figure out how I'm going to do this.
You figured it out. You figured it out. And it seems like, whatever stage you were with Food and Lifestyle, what I like to tell people all the time is, and I have to remind myself, I'm not saying that I know this, like I practice it all the time, is do what you can with what you have.
Absolutely.
If you sit around and you're waiting, it's like, oh yeah, I'm waiting because I need to have all these things before I accomplish, you'll be waiting for a while.
Well, everything changes. Your skill level changes, the amount of money you have changes, the things that are available to you changes.
Yeah.
With the universe, with God, what Jesus puts in your path changes. So you got to go.
Yeah.
And once you make the decision to do it, you've got to go.
Yep.
And then find what you have along the way.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the pain points that you're addressing with Food and Lifestyle TV. So what was it at the beginning, and maybe how has that been refined as we are here in the present? So like what pain points are you guys addressing?
It's the same pain point. The pain point is that we purposely entered into a brand new industry. TV was what it was for decades. Then it became cable, and cable was stable for, 15, 20, 30 years. And then it all changed. And streaming was coming out, And from the time we started till now, it's all in flux. And so how do you keep track of consumer habits, technology trends, the way the industry works, and how do people charge for what we do? Is it subscription? Is it advertiser supported? And so we have a subscription model currently. We are building a FAST channel. That's free advertising supported streaming television.
Okay.
And that's all the rage. That's your Tubies and of the world. So we are negotiating with technology companies right now so that we can have our programming block that we can start to license to different providers that'll be a subset of the things that we have on the subscription platform.
Okay.
So it can build awareness to what we do and give more exposure and allow some of our stuff to be supported by advertisers.
Okay.
But again, that's all changing. Fast channels became hot a year and a half ago. So you have to be able to pivot and decide what you're going to do, which is where do you put your programming dollars in? Where do you put your content dollars in? How do you structure it? If it's all pay-per-view, if it's all subscription content, maybe it looks a certain way. If it's going to be licensed across multiple TV platforms, then maybe it's a different format and it'll be grouped together differently. So you've got to be able to change and adjust. And so what content you create, who you put money behind, how you promote it, how you market it, changes depending on how the industry changes.
Gotcha.
I mean, read all your headlines the last 6 months of what's happening in streaming TV and digital media. Whole companies are closing, companies are going bankrupt, series are being canceled, other things are being changed, but everybody's still watching TV. Advertisers are still spending money. So it's not like the whole thing collapsed, it just changed. So how do you, as a leader, with all the people that are counting on you, adjust and pivot to make sure that they can get their shine in the new world? And so you'll see some of that from us.
That's really cool.
Those are the pain points.
Yeah, that's a lot. I was not expecting you to go that deep. There's a lot of things that go into that I'm like, whoo.
Well, because the foundational point is we built a streaming network from scratch. This is not for play. We have a social media presence. This was not built for social media. We have a YouTube presence. That was not built for YouTube. We built an African-American owned streaming network, professional quality from scratch. And those are the rivers we're swimming in.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
That's why when we, instead of doing a fancy launch, we did an upfront. So back in, maybe before we met you. So November 1, we did an upfront where we presented our stars and our programming.
Okay.
At Modex, which is a black-owned facility. So that our people got used to doing an upfront. So as they go through their careers in life, that it won't be a surprise to them. They can say like, yes, I've done an upfront before.
What's an upfront?
So the way the television industry works is all the main TV networks present their shows to advertisers, and they book advertising. And in fact, as you leave here, right now we're in the middle of upfront season. So the new fronts, all the digital networks did theirs the first of the month.
Okay.
And I think Peacock and Comcast just did theirs. I think they made some announcements, and you have other networks will be going the rest of the week. And generally speaking, it's a couple of executives and some stars in front of a giant screen, and they talk about what it is that they've got coming up.
Okay.
And so you could Google that and see what that looks like.
Okay.
So we did that for Food and Lifestyle.
Okay.
So now as advertisers can see us, they can see us in the same way that they see Disney or ABC or CBS or Comcast or Netflix. It's the same style.
Gotcha.
And our stars get to have the experience of having been in an upfront and the joy of seeing their shows on a big screen.
That's special. That's really special. Speaking of your stars, I want to talk about the element of performance and what really goes into that. So not just with your chefs, but with servers and bartenders, just the service industry specifically, because that's kind of more my lane. I can only personally speak for bartenders, but I've always strongly believed that a large part of what we do is performative. So from the time you clock in until you do last call, you're on a stage, literally. Your guests are positioned right in front of you, propped up right in front of you, and they're watching you the whole time. Now
Probably like this.
Yeah, sometimes even like that.
Wait. Pour it again.
Even like that, right? Sometimes there's a TV above our heads. They might, have that, but otherwise they're watching us, and it's a show to them, a live show. And so they're watching us craft these concoctions, and in between we're expected to engage with them. So we have to be charming, charismatic, witty, personable, funny. And to me, that's a craft that just can't be taught. Either you have it or you don't. I mean, you can learn it over time, but you can't teach it. You can teach the craft of mixology. You can study that. But this personality that you have to be, like you have to switch into, or I don't know, some people would just naturally have it, that's different. And so that's why you might hear this phrase, star tender. I don't know if you ever heard star tender. Okay. So sure, their drinks are phenomenal, but the reason why you keep coming back to their bar is because of their personality. And so those are the type of professionals that I like to have on Spirit and Soul, because they're entertaining. They're going to make people want to watch the show because they're entertaining. So for Food and Lifestyle, how do you go about scouting your talent? And like, how do you come across your stars?
Okay. So I slightly disagree with your premise.
Okay.
People have to have the light in them. Mm-hmm. But performing is art, but it's also a skill that you develop.
Okay.
We've developed a lot of stars here at Food and Lifestyle.
Okay.
So you have to have the desire. You have to have the light.
Okay.
If we're talking about chefs, being able to prepare an excellent meal is part of it. But this is TV. This is not back of the house. We made a decision at Food and Lifestyle that we would be culinary forward. So the chefs that are on our network can cook. Mm-hmm. So not every place is like that. Some places just want the star part of it. Mm-hmm. But we decided to be culinary first, so our chefs can cook.
Okay.
You have to have the light in you. Mm-hmm. And certainly certain people have more light than others.
Okay.
But that's not really enough. You have to know how to have the angles. You have to be able to be comfortable. You have to be able to, the technical things of, if you're a TV chef, chefs are always concerned about what's happening. What are they doing? What's this happening? So your focus is in front of you, not the audience. Mm-hmm. So
right.
If you have all the light, but you haven't learned the technical skills, then it's still not going to work. So you still need to practice, hey, I'm chopping something, I'm going to stop moving the knife and look at the camera and say, and that's how you cut the onion, and then go back. I'm going to describe what I'm doing, and maybe I can do some things at the same time, but I'm not making my big dramatic points at the countertop. So those are things that can be taught. So we do, in fact, scout. So it's a process of, if I'm checking social media, it's not just how pretty do the pictures look, because that can be staged.
Yeah.
I'm looking at stories. I'm looking how they interact with people. Like you said, are they talking to people? Are they passionate about it? Do they have something that we can work with? Mm-hmm. If people are being brought here, because a lot of the folks that we've met are friends of people that were already here.
Okay.
Or they associates of somebody who was already here.
Gotcha.
So they've expressed a desire to be here, or someone said, hey, I met this person. You need to meet this people. And then for us, we bring them here because it's a family. Mm-hmm. There's a feeling and a vibe here. So I don't just pluck chefs and throw them at the team. I bring them in so the team can meet them and let them talk amongst themselves. Mm-hmm. And chefs will have a couple of cocktails. That's kind of what chefs do. Mm-hmm. And they sort of figure out if it works for them.
Okay.
And then you have to have the desire.
Yeah.
You have to put in the time. Cooking for camera is different than cooking for people.
Yeah.
It's like, stop, wait, do that again, hold it over here, look this way.
That's what I was curious about, the behind the scenes. What does that look like? Do you guys have to have a rehearsal before you hit record? Like, are there scripts? Like, I've seen a couple of the shows, but I don't, for our audience, they like give them, like, what does that look like?
Okay, so here at Food Lifestyle, we don't do scripts.
Okay.
Not in cooking shows.
Okay.
We want it to flow.
Okay.
We want it to feel like you went to your favorite cousin's house and they're cooking for you.
Okay.
So there's not scripts. That being said, yeah, you sit down and you talk to the chefs and you prep it. And so what's on the menu? What are you doing? You want camera angles. You want to know, okay, well, I'm going to be making this first, And then here, so we know where to put the equipment at. We know where to put the lights at.
Gotcha.
We want to know where the dramatic moment's going to be. Okay, this is going to be on flames. This is going to hit this pot and be steaming. Here's the gravy. We've got honey in it. So we want to know what elements are so we can get the right camera angles and the right equipment to focus on.
That's so great.
But we don't really do scripts.
Gotcha. Which makes sense. That would be kind of hard.
And then we have different.
Depending on
we
the
have
show.
summer shows, but before someone gets their own show, we have different chef collabs, or maybe it'll be somebody's birthday, or there's a function here, and we'll have chefs come in and cook with the other chefs. And this way, they get a chance to be around other people, see what other people do. There's a lot of peer teaching, and then I can kind of one-on-one, hey, look up. Hey, people want to see your eyes, chef, and give them instructions so that when it's time for them to do their show or their segment, they're kind of ready.
I think that's awesome because back to the industry, service industry, outside of watching food, a Food Network channel, and Food and Lifestyle TV, or going to like a curated experience, a lot of times you don't get to see the chef at work, and you don't get to hear their personality or their jokes or what they, what goes into their food or why they make the things that they do. So having that seeing that on screen is that's important, I think. So making a space for them and making it welcoming, not just for the stars, like you clearly have strong personality people that, okay, well, they're a natural, but then you have some that are not, but it's not to say that they don't have anything to offer. So you making a safe space and a family space out of this is that's dope.
Well, part of it is you find ways to highlight the things that you like about different people. So there are some situations where people are just big personalities.
Yeah.
And some of it's on screen, and you've got your Robs, your Cam, your P, your Joe. They're just big personalities. But you have other folks that are just amazing chefs. You mentioned Mark. You mentioned Josh.
Yeah.
They're amazing chefs. They're not demonstrative in their personalities. But it's through their food, through their plating, through their experience that they put together. So you create shows and programming that highlight what they do.
Yeah, and curate it just for their style too.
Yes. So the drama comes from a duck battle.
Yeah.
Where two dope chefs are putting together drinks and making duck live. And so the drama is not because I got a big personality. The drama is because look at what these amazing guys are doing.
Yeah.
Because that was the other bet, that when we started, it was the heyday of reality TV. And everybody was like, oh, you guys should film a reality show or follow me around. And I wanted to create drama out of excellence.
Yeah.
No shade to anything else. I watched lots of different things. But in terms of what I wanted to spend my time doing, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different. And so we find drama out of the excellence. And is it going to come out right? And look at what they're doing. And I'm teaching you something, and I'm learning something new. And oh my God, that's how you do that? That's how you make a duck,
There was a shot, I was kind of looking at the channel, and I'm not sure what show it was, but I know it was Chef Mark specifically, and the camera was underneath whatever surface he was preparing the food. So you could see him like arranging. I don't know what that was.
Board.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, again, because he's has this brilliant artistic mind. And so he's not going to holler at you on camera.
No, he's definitely not.
But he's brilliant.
Yeah, he is.
And so we wanted to actually see it. So we've got this cool table, and we decided, you know what? This is Mark's table. We'll let him do it. We're going to lock it down. And then, then my business partner, Jay, is creative with the camera work.
Yeah.
And he set it all up so we can get the shots that we wanted. And then we watched him do a whole charcuterie board on the glass.
Cool. Very cool. We're going to do a quick speed round. We're going to wrap up here. So this is rapid fire question and answers. So what's the craziest or wildest thing that's ever happened when live recording?
Chef P proposed to her fiance.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't work out, but that was a lot of fun.
Oh.
We were live.
Wow. What's your favorite wings in the city?
When Chef Rob comes here and makes them here in the kitchen.
Okay. How convenient. That's very convenient of having
Have you had Chef Rob's wings?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Executive chef at Twisted Soul.
Okay.
And now at the Pondriad, the brand new Italian restaurant.
Okay.
He's a wing master.
Dope. Okay. Add that to my list. What's a guilty pleasure meal that you probably are embarrassed to admit that you eat, but
I'm not embarrassed to admit. My favorite food is when grandma cooks.
oh,
And that's across all cultures.
yeah.
I've had a chance to be at really nice restaurants and drink fancy wines and, had expense account meals. My favorite meal is, baby, let me make you a plate. But I'm not embarrassed about that.
Right, no, I wouldn't be either. That slaps. What song is on repeat for you lately?
Yeah. I'm not really listening to music lately.
Ah, I feel that.
I'm kind of focused.
Okay.
And yeah, music is different than when I grew up.
Yeah, okay. I feel that. I'm on a podcast binge right now, more than music, so I get that. What establishment do you feel is extremely underrated?
Yeah, don't go out.
Okay.
I'm always working.
Listen, I understand. I'm somewhat the same. Okay, last but not least, we're going to do a quick ear to the street. So this is an opportunity to shout out some chefs, some establishments, anybody that you want to shout out that's
Okay.
been rocking.
This is always dangerous. We have a bunch of folks that started with us that have got restaurants or restaurant groups. So talked about Chef Rob and the Van Treese Restaurant Group.
Okay.
Toast on Lennox has got a brand new facility.
Okay.
Chef Luis, who started out as he was the chef at Buckhead Saloon. He talked about this whole idea of creating an amazing Mexican experience. He's on his 4th or 5th upscale concept.
Wow.
Chef Bree is the executive chef at Rocksteady. She's
Okay.
doing amazing things. Chef Rocky is a part of the ownership group of multiple places in the city. Our folks are just really doing amazing things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Also, congratulations on your nomination for the Black Media Honors.
That was a fun experience.
Yeah, that looked like it was fun. Congratulations.
A chance to step into the room with a lot of veterans, a lot of legends.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for coming up to the house to talk
inviting
to
me
us.
here to be on the show.
And thanks for being prepared.
Yeah, try to be.
We love excellence.
Yeah.
And people who take what they do serious. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Soulmates, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Spirit and Soul Podcast. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following us on all platforms and social medias. Until next time. Cheers.
Foodandlifestyle.com.
Foodandlifestyle.com and Food and Lifestyle TV.
On all socials.
Yeah, on all
Food Lifestyle TV.
TV. Yep.
All socials.
Exactly.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.